Imagine spending $30,000 on a used four-wheel drive that every mechanic in your town swears is the toughest thing ever built. You drive it home, you're feeling unstoppable, you're already planning your first Outback trip, and then 3 months later, your wallet is completely empty and your driveway has a very expensive paperweight sitting in it. That is not a hypothetical story. That happens to thousands of Australians every single year. And today, we're going to talk about exactly which vehicles are causing all that pain. Welcome to the Drive Intel, and if you have ever owned, bought, or even thought about buying a used four-wheel drive, you need to watch this entire video because what we are about to share could save you tens of thousands of dollars. Before we dive in, if you find this kind of honest, research-backed content useful, please hit that like button right now and subscribe to the Drive Intel so you never miss a video like this. We do the deep research, so you do not have to learn these lessons the hard way. Now, let us set something straight before we start. We are not here to bash these vehicles unfairly. Some of these four-wheel drives are genuinely legendary machines with incredible off-road capability. They have die-hard fan bases, passionate communities, and real heritage behind them. But there is a massive difference between a vehicle being mechanically capable and a vehicle being financially smart to own as a used purchase in Australia's specific climate and conditions. That difference is exactly what we are unpacking today. And trust me, by the end of this video, you will look at the used four-wheel drive market in a completely different way. Let us start with the first vehicle on our list, and this one is going to surprise a lot of people because it is genuinely one of the most iconic four-wheel drives ever made in Australia. We are talking about the Toyota LandCruiser 200 series. Now, before you click off the video, just hear us out. Yes, Toyota. Yes, LandCruiser. Yes, the vehicle that Australians treat almost like a national treasure. But here's the thing that the resale market and the enthusiast community does not always talk about honestly. The 200 series, particularly the diesel V8 models built between 2007 and around 2015, carries some very expensive skeletons in its very large closet. The 1VD FTV twin-turbo diesel V8 engine is undeniably powerful. It pulls like a freight train and it sounds absolutely magnificent on an open highway. But this engine has a documented history of injector failure. And when those injectors go, they do not just fail quietly. They fail catastrophically, and the debris from the injector can travel through the entire fuel system. A full injector replacement job on a 200 series diesel V8 can cost anywhere from 8,000 to 15,000 Australian dollars depending on how bad the damage is and where you take it. And that is before you factor in any other work the vehicle needs. Then there is the head gasket issue that affects certain production runs, the timing chain tensioner problems on higher mileage examples, and the fact that this vehicle's complexity means every single repair job involves more labor hours than a simpler vehicle would. Now add to that the fact that Australians love these things so much that the used prices have remained stubbornly high even on high mileage examples. So you are paying premium money for a vehicle that, if the previous owner did not maintain it meticulously, could hand you a repair bill that costs more than what you paid for it. The emotional attachment Australians have to the LandCruiser name often blinds them to the actual financial risk sitting right in front of them on the used market. Smart buyers do a full pre-purchase inspection from a Toyota specialist before they touch one of these, but the reality is that most buyers do not, and that is where the financial disaster begins. The second vehicle on our list is one that many Australians genuinely believe is indestructible, and in some versions, it actually is. But in other versions, it is a horror story wearing a rugged disguise. We are talking about the Nissan Patrol, specifically the Y61 GU models, fitted with the Z30 diesel engine. Now the Petrol Patrol, the TB48 models, those engines genuinely are close to bulletproof. But the ZD30 diesel, which is the version most buyers gravitate toward because of fuel economy considerations, is one of the most notoriously problematic diesel engines ever fitted to a four-wheel drive sold in Australia. The internet is absolutely full of ZD30 horror stories, and every single one of them is backed up by real repair receipts. The ZD30 is known for cracking pistons, overheating under load, suffering boost-related failures, and in worst-case scenarios, experiencing what the off-road community grimly refers to as a catastrophic engine failure, which basically means the engine destroys itself from the inside out. The problem is compounded by the fact that many of these vehicles have been used hard, towed heavy loads, and driven in extreme heat across the Australian outback. Previous owners often pushed the cooling system to its limits without the vehicle being properly set up for that kind of work. By the time the vehicle lands on a used car listing with high kilometers, it may already be one hard day's towing away from a complete engine rebuild. And those rebuilds, done properly, are not cheap. You're looking at somewhere between $5,000 and $12,000 for a proper engine rebuild, depending on what has failed. The cruelest part of this situation is that a GU Patrol with a ZD30 can feel and drive completely fine during a test drive and a basic inspection, and then reveal its true condition 3 months later when you put it under real load for the first time. The only way to truly know what you're buying is a full compression test, a boost leak test, and ideally a full cooling system pressure test, all done by a patrol specialist before you hand over your money. The third vehicle on our list is one that divides opinion sharply. And we know that by mentioning it, we are going to get some very passionate comments, which, by the way, we absolutely want to hear, so keep watching for that. The vehicles is the Mitsubishi Pajero, specifically the Generation 3 and Generation 4 models with the 3.2-liter diesel engine, known as the 4M41. On paper, the Pajero looks like an incredible used buy. Prices are relatively accessible. They look tough, they have genuine off-road credentials, and Mitsubishi has a solid reputation in Australia. But spend 5 minutes on any Pajero owner forum, and you will quickly discover a very different reality. The 4M41 engine itself is actually a decent unit when it is properly maintained. But the Pajero's weak point is not always the engine. It is the complexity of everything around it. The automatic transmission in certain model years has a documented history of failures, and rebuild costs are significant. The rear differential and transfer case can develop issues, particularly on vehicles that have been used off-road or for towing without proper servicing. The intercooler can crack and split, leading to performance loss and potential engine damage if not caught quickly. The EGR system, like many diesel vehicles from this era, can clog and cause all sorts of performance and reliability headaches that require specialist attention to fix properly. But perhaps the most financially damaging issue with the used Pajero market is something that goes beyond mechanical problems. It is the fact that parts for these vehicles, particularly body panels, interior trim, and some engine components, are increasingly difficult to source in Australia and can carry significant import costs and wait times. When your vehicle sits off the road for 3 weeks waiting for a part to arrive from Japan, that waiting time has a real financial cost, whether you are renting another vehicle, missing work, or simply unable to live your life the way you need to. The Pajero is not without its genuine fans and loyal owners who swear by them, and we respect that. But the financial risk profile of a high-mileage used Pajero is significantly higher than most buyers expect when they see that attractive price tag on the used market. The fourth and final vehicle on our list might be the most controversial one we mentioned today, and if you have been watching the Drive Intel for a while, you know we never shy away from saying things that are unpopular when the research supports it. We are talking about the Ford Everest, specifically the first-generation models sold in Australia from around 2015 to 2019 with the 3.2-liter 5-cylinder diesel engine. Now, the Everest looks fantastic. It is comfortable, it has a great interior, and it feels genuinely capable both on and off-road. Australians responded very positively to it when it launched, and the used market has treated it well in terms of resale values. But underneath that attractive exterior, there are some real financial concerns that any potential buyer should know about. The 3.2-liter 5-cylinder diesel engine, known as the P58T, has had documented issues with injector failures, fuel system contamination, and in some cases, turbocharger problems. But the bigger financial concern with the first-generation Everest is actually the transmission and the 6-speed automatic gearbox, which has been the subject of numerous owner complaints, service bulletins, and in some cases, replacement under warranty for original owners. For a used buyer who is outside of any remaining warranty coverage, a transmission failure on this vehicle is an extremely expensive event. Depending on whether you repair or replace, you could be looking at anywhere from $4,000 to over $10,000. Add to that the fact that Ford's dealership servicing costs in Australia are not the cheapest, that specialist knowledge of these vehicles outside the dealership network is still developing, and that some parts availability remains a frustration for owners in regional Australia, and you start to understand why the used financial picture is not as rosy as the vehicle's appearance suggests. The Everest improved significantly with the second-generation model, and we want to be clear about that. But if you are shopping in the used market and looking at a first-gen Everest, you need to go in with your eyes wide open and a very detailed pre-purchase inspection in hand. So what is the overall lesson from all 4 of these vehicles? It is actually a simple one, but it is one that is really easy to forget when you are excited about buying your dream 4-wheel drive. A low purchase price, or even a reasonable purchase price on a used 4-wheel drive means nothing in isolation. What matters is the total cost of ownership over the next 3 to 5 years, and that number is almost impossible to calculate without doing serious research, getting proper pre-purchase inspections, and understanding the specific known failure points of the exact engine and transmission combination you are considering buying. The used 4-wheel drive market in Australia is full of vehicles that have been pushed hard in genuinely tough conditions, and the previous owner has already had their fun and is now passing the financial consequences on to the next buyer. At the Drive Intel, this is exactly why we exist. To give you the kind of honest, well-researched information that helps you make smarter decisions before you spend your hard-earned money. If this video has been eye-opening for you, please share it with someone you know who is currently shopping for a used four-wheel drive in Australia, because this information could genuinely save them from a very expensive mistake. Drop a comment below and tell us which of these vehicles surprises you the most, or if you have owned one of these four-wheel drives and have a story to share, whether it went well or it absolutely did not. We read every single comment, and we would love to hear your experience. And if you have not already, please subscribe to the Drive Intel and hit that notification bell so you're the first to know when we drop our next video. We have got some seriously interesting research coming up that every four-wheel drive buyer in Australia needs to see. Thank you so much for watching. Drive smart, and we will see you in the next one.